Alright, so welcome back to installment 2 of how to arrange Somewhere Over the Rainbow, coming from my original arrangement. Now, if you haven't seen the first part, I separated this in 2 different videos just so that it wasn't an overwhelming video with too many parts. So definitely make sure that you check the link down to watch the first half of this. Okay, so now we're jumping down into the bridge section here, and at the end of this we will have the entire playthrough. So this is what the bridge section is going to sound like. And then you're back into your main piece again. So the bridge section is really not that big of a difference. It's only a few different kind of measures here that we had to go over. So, looking through measure 17, we have the C major harmony. Now, all the time I was playing C up in here, this kind of triad. Now I'm going to opt to play this one here. So I'm only playing these middle strings from the bottom, so I have A, D, and G. And our melody line is this. So check out this here. So what I'm doing is I'm actually just playing half of a C major chord. I'm not even adding my first finger in. And I'm just playing the C bass note and alternating between the D and G string, because that's my A and G notes. So I'm going to play that, and then I also have F that happens in the second measure of that, so measure 18. So what I do there is I actually do this. I put F in the bass. So I'm going... have G, so then I bring G in the bass. So I have C, F, G, F. So that kind of happens there. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is kind of cool. And then we add in these harmonics. So that's going to repeat twice. Now again, to add a little bit more flavor and a little more characteristic, at measure 20 we have this half bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm actually opting to use an F13 going to a G13. I do that again to add in some flavor and to make it a little bit more interesting sonically to listen to. So if you've never played an F13 before, or a G13 in this case, it's a movable shape. You can play it where you have your first finger on the low F, the flat, A and D, and then slide that up. Or you can play it like what I was doing this way, where I actually bar, and I just play those top and middle strings. So same kind of fingering, almost as if you were playing G7. You just put your finger up here to get the 13th interval. So I have this. Now on the second time of the repeat, we're going to have a little bit of a different harmonic structure. It's a little unexpected there. But this is actually a 5 of 5 chord, so we're actually going from a 5 to get to a 5. So we're taking a 5 of 5, so D major is the 5th of G major, and G major is the 5th of C. So that's how we can add in another chord structure here, so that's where this D major comes from. It's a 5 of 5 chord. So I'm going C, D, and the way that I'm playing this is I'm doing D, F sharp, A, because my melody note is between F sharp and A, and I'm just adding in the low D note, so I'm going kind of like a little staircase shape. 5th fret A, 4th fret D, 2nd fret G. So I have this. And then I end on this G7 chord here. This is actually a G13 if you think about it, because I have the 13th interval in there. And then I add these little harmonics at the end, which is super, super cool. So what I'm doing here is I have my second finger, low 6th string, 3rd fret, second finger, or third finger, excuse me, is going to be on the D string, 3rd fret, and then my pinky is going to the D note, or the 3rd fret of the B string. I have my open G, so I have root, flat 7, root, 3rd, and then E, which is my 6th or my 13th. And then I do this array of harmonics, which is really, really cool, which you can check that out in the arrangement. So a good kind of foundation for harmonics is I like to use my 1st and my 2nd finger. And basically what I'm doing is I'm tracing out that chord 12 frets above, and I'm playing those notes individually, but with using my 1st and 2nd finger. So from this angle here, here's the chord. That's kind of the technique. One more time here. So here's the G7, which is a super, super cool technique to get down. And then that takes care of the bridge. Alright, so let me play through the entire section now, and the entire piece for that matter. So let me just play it from the beginning to the end. And then again, this is just my arrangement, so you can take this as you will, and if you want to get more creative to it, you can add in your own licks. And in my version, I have some licks that I put in there, kind of in between it to break up some of the monotonous of it. But anyway, here we go. So we have this. Repeats. Here's our bridge. Oh, sorry. Ha! Got carried away. Then I go again to the top. Which is super cool. Then I have my F, G7 first inversion, excuse me for the mistakes. I haven't played this guitar in a while, and it's always like when I play a new guitar and I haven't played it in a while, I always feel like I have to get used to it again. So again, you kind of take this for what you will. And this is kind of, again, the foundation of learning how to solo arrange for the guitar. I know it's such a kind of complicated beast in the beginning, and I've been so lucky to have a classical background and a classical training about how to, play different triads and play them all over the neck, which is super, super helpful. So, it's like a really good starting point in all this is taking a simple context of music, like just a chord in its most basic form, and being able to play it in multiple different areas all over the neck, multiple different octaves, multiple different inversions. So if you take C major, for example, C major, you can be played in all these, big block chord shapes, but you can break them down into smaller intervallic, things. Here's C major, C major, C major, C major. Here's it on the lowest strings. And taking these all over the neck so that way you can invert them. Like here it is in second inversion, first inversion, root position, first inversion, and then back to second inversion again. So it's really good to kind of practice these things and get a good understanding about how you actually kind of just move these things all over the neck, so that way, you're not just limited to this chord and say, okay, when you look at a chord diagram, I don't want people to automatically just default to C here, or C here, or even C here. I want you to be able to oh, let me play C this way. That's a really, really cool example of playing C. Okay, well, what's that coming out of? Root, 5th, 3rd. Okay, can we play that in a different place? It's the same chord shape. Just played differently and fingers wise. Okay, root position, 1st inversion, 2nd inversion, root positioning, it just moved up an octave. Super cool. Thanks for sticking around, guys. I hope you really liked it. Let me know what else you would like to see next as far as other song arrangements, lesson tutorials, covers, and things of that nature. I will see you all in the next video. Take care.